Well, you're back at the SciCast, featuring a new guest.
Well, yeah, we've been out of this for a little while, and here's a big reason why. This is my new daughter, Vanessa. She is 2 months old right now at this point. So, yeah, can you say hi? Hello. Yeah, she's in for a nap, so hopefully she behaves for the whole time here.
If not, I'm sure she'll chime in on her opinions on the matter at hand.
Mm-hmm. Which, leading into it, our topic of conversation today.
Yeah. The lucky topic you are about to watch is on panspermia, which might be a new word for most people.
Yes, as I was talking to other people, most people's reaction was, what? Or their mind tends to wander to a more derogatory state.
Yeah.
But panspermia literally kind of means the seeding of life, or life everywhere, which is kind of funny, so she kind of fits right into this.
Yeah. The example I use most of the time, because it's more of a topical reference, is the movie Prometheus. At the beginning of that movie, you notice one of the engineers, also one of the aliens in a way, seeded life basically on what was supposed to be Earth, I'm assuming, by disintegrating his own body, you know, kickstarting the DNA chain. So
right. It's right. That's more of I guess Hollywood's take on it. I guess a little bit more.
It's a more cut and dry look at it. From coming up with it, the more scientific approach that more theorists have come up with is that life was, or the theory, what I try to kind of explain people is that the theory that life came to Earth on like an asteroid or a meteorite in the form of a bacteria that was trapped inside the rock that collided into Earth, settled here, and then eventually Earth's environment and things produced, transgressed, and what's the word I'm looking for? Formed into life as what we know it today, which would be the evolution theory, more or less. Which is a highly, a very improbable situation for said meteor. Obviously it's possible, but with the universe so vast, you know, a meteor heading through the universe or a comet or whatever, and it hits this planetary body or Earth, and so happens to, you know, take hold. So it probably, you know, there's probably more than one floating around out there, I'm assuming.
Right. It seems very unlikely. Just the size and scope of the galaxies and universes themselves. It's preposterous to think that we are the only life out there. Yeah. I would have to think there's, I mean, even if it's just, you know, vegetative or bacteria state of things, something has to be out there. Yeah, it's just very unlikely. The odds of that, you know, something from another system to crash into Earth is just astronomical. A lot of the theories that I saw where people were popular was that life coming from Mars. Everybody's all about the Mars thing. Yeah. The one was that a rock had actually, meteor, asteroid, what have you, crashed into Mars.
Space junk.
Space junk, there you go. Crashed into Mars, and when it hit Mars, it blasted a chunk of the actual planet of Mars out, creating a new meteorite or asteroid. And then that is what crashed into Earth. Now, the odds of that actually happening
so you get hit by a ricochet.
Yeah, you're getting hit by a ricochet, and then you're talking like magic bullet theory of JFK. Pretty much. Oh, somebody's awake and ready to chime in now.
Oh, yeah.
But, so it's kind of, like I said, it is just a theory. That there's evidence that would support it to an extent. And of course, you're going to have all of your other groups out there saying, no, life just simply evolved here, you know, we're not aliens.
Using the usual radioactivity of the sun. Right. And mutating.
Mutating, that's the word I was looking for before. And then, of course, you have the religious aspect of, you know, the creationism, which honestly they're all theories at this point. Nothing is proven or can be proven at this point.
Yeah.
Which is the point of science, is to basically try and provide answers.
Big time.
So,
even though a lot of the times new ideas aren't so readily taken up, as we all know from history.
Right. Which, it's kind of funny as we bring into this. Actually, I found a quote by Albert Einstein.
He's the man.
Which was, I mean, if you don't know who Einstein is, I'm not going to explain him, but if you don't know, you should look him up. He said, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." So he was actually a very big proponent of that the two actually coexist. Yeah. That there is a, you know, there is a correlation between the two. That they both kind of work together towards the same cause. But there's such a hard line anymore between people. It's, you know, your religious ends are, no, this is the way it is. No, everything was created.
It's a with us or against us kind of a situation.
Yeah, the lines are drawn, and there's not much. Very few people fall and run into that gray area where they kind of try and meld the two or believe in the both. So, but anyway, getting back to our topic at hand, where it
when you were talking about you know, the vastness of space and whatnot, and kind of with the whole idea that since, you know, the universe is so massive that there has to be at some point other than here, you know, life has started. I had come across Fermi's paradox.
I've heard of it. I don't remember. I don't remember it.
Which states that if the universe is so massive and there's probably other life out there, and since our sun is relatively young and there's other suns out there that are, you know, billions of years older and whatnot, that if there are that many billions of stars out there that are older than us, that there would be, if Earth is not a rare object, you know, life-wise, that there would probably be, at some point, other life out there. And over billions of years, they probably would have maybe gotten interstellar travel. And basically, his paradox is, if their universe is so old, how come we haven't seen any other life forms? All right, you know, that's okay.
Right. Yeah. I suppose that, in which it makes sense that, okay, why haven't we seen anything?
Which you could bring up the point that maybe we have seen, but, you know, the whole extraterrestrial sightings and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. UFOs, Roswell,
but,
you know
we're being suppressed of information and whatnot.
Right. And, you know, the other, to go along with that, you know, it might be, maybe they're just simply observing us at this point. We can't detect them, you know, like, are we ready to handle that yet?
Right. Because I would always think that, let's say, I'm assuming, if they can come here, you know, they probably have technology that can blind us in some way, or they would have a, like, you know, like a cloaking system on the Star Trek or something like that.
Yeah, cloaking systems, device camouflage of some sorts that they could be living here with us now, just gathering information. And I would believe that we aren't ready to handle that yet, for the simple fact that if they were to come into contact with us, it would probably be with a higher authority figure, so to speak. Let's just say that, you know, the government.
Sure.
The government would not tell us about it, which in my eyes tells them that, well, if they're not willing to share with their people what's going on, we're not ready for it. If they're trying to keep this all a secret, you wouldn't be ready for it anyway.
Which could almost be a podcast in itself about the whole, if we did know that there was aliens in the universe, what would happen to our economy or religious sector?
Because, you know, going to try and exploring life, which they're trying to find people for this new Mars mission.
No, I'm sure they'll find plenty of people.
They're looking for. Last I had heard, they're looking for a couple.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
There, because they figured, well, if you're going to spend that many what did they say, 18 months, and it's a one-way trip.
Well, I do remember,
I believe it's a one-way trip.
I think right now they're only planning on one-way trips. But by the time you get there, you know.
Yeah. It's, but you're going to be living in a capsule without showering, and there it's, you know, with another person. Might as well be somebody you're already miserable with.
I was going to say, that kind of is a joke, right? You want to be somebody you know.
Yeah.
But we all know what happens when two people are that like each other for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the old joke. I love you, honey. But no, that's there. So they're looking at that switch as kind of, and I believe they want to launch in like 2015.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. Yeah.
As they're really looking to do this, which I was very surprised that they're actually looking to put a manned mission together to do this.
No, so, what do they? My thought is, you know, they land on the moon and whatnot, and they get back out and come back home. Now, if they land on Mars, is there some kind of base they're going to set up, or they just sit there until their oxygen runs out?
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering is how, do they know that this is kind of a suicide mission, if it is? Because I don't know all of the details, but yeah, from what I heard, it's a one-way trip.
Well, you will be immortalized in history, though.
Right, so, for one. And I think this is a theory, is to try and, eventually they do want to try and colonize.
Sure.
For whatever reason, but they don't know if that it can support life yet at this point in time. Because they haven't really, they think they've found things.
Sure.
They think they've found
around there right now.
Right. They think they've found bacteria and whatnot. Going there. Oh, somebody's getting a little fussy. So there. Pause for just a second here.
Yeah, sure.
We'll get rid of her. Okay, resume. Sorry that our newest member has a short attention span.
Yeah.
She has one track mind, but anyway. So yeah, the Mars thing. Right. So I believe they want to try and eventually colonize and see. As far as when they actually get there, I don't know what they have for life support, how much they're. I mean, obviously they have to have enough to make the 18-month trip just to get there. I don't know how self-sustaining that is.
I would hope to. I figured if they wanted to stay there for any amount of time, they could bring a green room, to keep some kind of oxygen content going, or hydroponic system and something like that.
I would think they would have to have some sort. Like I said, I haven't even seen designs of the ship or.
If we even get to look at those, because it's probably kind of secret.
I suppose. I mean, as far as, or at least you would think they would have an idea, or at least tell us that yes, there's something in the works for sustaining life. Right. Because I've heard the trip will be a little uncomfortable.
I bet.
They said that showers would be very limited, and I believe they would be recycling a lot of urine for drinking. So it'd be kind of, and not a whole lot of, well, obviously you're in a craft, not a whole lot of room to move around. You'd basically be in the way I heard it was basically kind of a small 2-bedroom apartment for 18 months.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Probably see some cool stuff out the window, but...
Oh, yeah. They probably also figured out what happens to people out in space for an extended period of time.
Oh, yeah. You'll have the, cabin fever?
Space dementia.
Space dementia. That's the word I'm looking for. So this will be interesting to see what they do there, because this, I think, relating to the panspermia theory, they'll be able to have some more hands-on, maybe some scientific equipment to run some experiments, looking for more of, bacteria, life, viruses. That's another popular, they were thinking a virus would have more of a chance because they're a little hardier of surviving what they may find.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Because, that's another big step, you got the moon, and you have Mars, and then...
Because I believe this Mars mission, this is a privately funded thing. This isn't a government funded.
Yeah, I think it's all private because they've been trying to cut NASA for years. So.
Yeah, and go down there, so it is a private... Who is the funder behind that? I don't know.
I'm sure it's a bunch of them, but...
a collaborated effort.
I remember that one guy's name. The guy who's doing that, where you can buy seats on ships to go up into space.
The Virgin.
The Virgin Mobile guy.
What is that guy's name?
Bronson?
Howard? No.
Well, no, I don't think it's Howard.
The owner.
Charles Bronson?
No,
that's a different guy.
That's a whole different. The owner of Virgin Mobile.
That guy.
I'm sure you're there. Yeah, because he has the mission, short flights into space or whatever, low or high atmosphere flights. I guess basically.
For a couple $1 million.
Yeah. What is it? $2 million a seat or something like that, or
a lot of money.
Nothing that I will be doing.
Not until they get that elevator to the sky working, right?
Yeah.
You got the space station up there, and you got a line connecting it to Earth. You can take an elevator up and down. That's always been a dream, but I doubt that'll work.
That'll never happen. So yeah, hopefully, this Mars thing will actually be pretty exciting if they do get this to go and to see what they discover. I mean, it'll be 2015 if the flight leaves, so it'll be 2017 before they get there.
Sure. Roughly,
and then I don't know how the radio communique and video feeds come back, how long those take, what the delay on that is.
Wouldn't that be a nice reality show?
Reality show. Watch what they're doing.
Yeah. Watch what the show program is doing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a live feed going.
Yeah. That would be really cool. Let's see what they're doing. I suppose the first week would be interesting after they go into space, and then after that, it'll be said, "What do you want for supper tonight?"
You want the liquid peas or the liquid carrots?
Yeah. That would be, kind of funny. So, so it'd be very interesting to see what they find there. Very exciting to see, that would be the first step into, discovering, possible life everywhere. Mm-hmm. And what a huge step for, mankind itself. To all of a sudden start, if they were, and this would probably be 100 years down the road, if better, to actually start, colonizing another planet.
Yeah.
And
to even start terraforming or anything.
To, be able to sustain life there and any number of people, shipping a mass quantity of people there to start doing this, what a grand undertaking it would be. This is just so many years, and how long would it take? We will never see it in our lifetime.
Yeah.
We may see, in our lifetime, we may see another flight there, more people going to set things up, but before it's determined if we can actually sustain it, we will never know.
Because there's also, the gravitational effects too will be different.
Mm-hmm. What that would do on the human body.
Yeah.
Well, because, they've seen effects now of what astronauts that have been up on the space station, they come down. They come back down and they have atrophy in the muscles for one. There's something else to do
bone
with
density,
bone density, and there's something else with the heart and the blood levels, iron or some levels. I can't remember exactly what. And those are just on the space station for a few months.
Yeah.
You're going up into space for 18 months. I think to prevent a lot of that, you would have to develop some sort of artificial gravity.
I was going to say gravity boots or something.
Yeah, to do something like that. Plus, what is the gravity ratio on Mars too, as far as what the what the pull is compared to Earth.
I wanted to say it was 0.6 or something like that.
So it's almost half.
Yeah.
So you would definitely something else to look at.
Yeah. Your battery's low. I saw that.
Oh, pardon. We'll get rid of that message.
Hopefully it's plugged in.
Oh, it is.
Oh, by the way, this is a nice galaxy here of the Milky Way.
Over there, thought it would fit in well with our, we're talking about life everywhere.
Yeah.
So the reason that they're thinking that this panspermia would be there, because life basically coming from a bacteria.
Sure.
Because a bacteria is very
hardy, so to speak, that it can survive the harsh environments of space. Able to survive the cold. No, actually, it can go into a dormant state for a long, long period of time and survive just inside the rock cavity of your meteorite or asteroid until it would collide with something and break open and then have your mutated effect.
Yeah. So you won't be seeing any meteors coming here that have some kind of complex life form. That's probably not going to happen. Like you know, transporting some kind of cat or something like that.
Yeah, a cat or chimp.
A space cat.
Yeah, a space cat. You know, whatever there. So yeah, definitely there because there's so many other things in space that affect. I mean, as far as even our life as we know it, you know, you have the proton bombardments from the sun, ultraviolet radiation that we're all protected from via our atmosphere. That there's zero of that out in space. So I mean that's why all the lead-lined suits and the different protection measures that are taken. So that's why they're thinking a bacteria would have the highest level. Why a bacteria can survive all of that.
Yeah.
Come there, and because it is kind of malleable, be able to take on that mutated effect and everything, and then become something. What
over
that
a
may
long
be.
period of time, probably most likely, but
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the evolution of where, look how long it took for the dinosaurs, so to speak, and all of that to come to where we are today. I mean, that was millions of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very long period of time. Other than that. The other thing that people are, there's a lot of, that's why I think this Mars mission is so popular. People have this big theory that it was Mars there because they thought Mars was possibly safer than Earth to develop life right away. Why it would have developed life sooner and then now it seems to be this just a dead, desolate rock, kind of a strange.
Right.
For why they're thinking. One of the reasons they thought it might have been able to habitat it sooner because it was a little further away from the sun, so that it was cooler in the when it was forming. So the extreme heats and temperatures of everything wouldn't have been as harsh on. Things would have had a higher chance of survival instead of basically just melting and burning away. Without all of the oxygen and everything burning up too, because they are still thinking that it would be, carbon-based life forms as we are as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of. We really haven't seen anything besides that, so that's kind of.
I mean, going. The next popular theory is a silicon-based life form, which would be just, it's kind of the next door neighbor of what would be carbon, but. They haven't found any evidence of anything to be able to support that either. The anatomy and the makeup of it is so small, but so big, all in the same context.
Unless you consider a robot made out of silicon to be a life form.
Well, then you're talking that's AI.
I'm throwing
sure.
out like
that's artificial intelligence.
But could it, in the future? As like the whole Skynet, they machines that build other machines, so therefore, is it really artificial then? Because it's.
That's true. If you get machines building other machines, I guess that.
Would that be considered some kind of reproduction process? By definition, I think technically, but.
Well, no, I think that's still a carbon-based life form, because the materials used.
Yeah, I suppose most of it would be carbon.
It was there. I mean, the only thing that the silicon is basically the big and used for would be like, your computer chips and everything. But I guess that's what would give a robot its life. So it's life, if you call it that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the silicon-based life form, I don't know, they're still looking and trying to look for that, and the only place I believe that they're able that would support that, they're really looking into like volcanic craters, where the environments are so harsh, but that's the only place they would be able to survive.
Yeah, those extremophiles, and they've only recently found in like volcanoes or the deep sea vents in the ocean.
Right. Which is kind of funny. It brings up a whole. You bring up the ocean. There's so much of the ocean that is yet unexplored, and they're looking to go into space. They don't even know what's down there.
Yeah, that is the other thing. Their deep sea technology hasn't been as. Well, they haven't put as much money in there as anything else.
And which is strange because you would think you'd start looking a little bit closer to home, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
Before there, I mean, and there's definitely people out there that are trying to, because you know the ocean covers what 2/3 of the Earth.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a much larger place to look, but you'd probably have better odds of finding, the effects of panspermia. Something that did come from outer space and developed life on Earth in the ocean than you would on land.
Well, that's still a terrestrial, I think, technically, exploration. Some people want, extraterrestrial kind of exploration as the next, because people, as they watch, the Hollywood science fiction movies, they're like, well, I want to do that.
Yeah, do that. Oh, because actually your ocean environments are probably be more apt to start off with, or start off your mutation process from a bacteria state, because there's they look at it, all of the creatures that are down so in the extreme deep ocean that we don't even know about, from when the tsunami hit Japan. What was that, 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago now or whatever. They were looking at all of this life and creatures that had washed up on shore, and they're like, what the heck is that? They're like, there's things on there that people have never seen before. All sorts of things, because they had come and they had washed up from the very deep ocean. They had no idea what it was.
So maybe that's what the aliens are hiding.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, that would honestly make sense, because we can't go there.
That was kind of. Do you ever read the book or see the movie? I guess Sphere, the Michael Crichton book. Sphere?
No, I never did that. Watched The Abyss.
Well, because in Sphere, what the plot was, as they were laying cable across the ocean for internet, that it broke, right? Something on the ground, so they went to go investigate it. They found a spacecraft on the bottom of the ocean, and so that's where they found the sphere.
Ah.
It was some kind of spacecraft, so sure, I kind of gave something away, but that's not that part of the big twist.
You can probably read that on the back of the cover. Yeah, so I mean, that would actually make sense that they would be hiding down there.
Yeah.
Hiding, if they are.
Yeah.
Observing from down there, which would be a very interesting perspective, because great supply of oxygen.
Plenty of stuff to drink.
Yeah, plenty of fluid. You take, you went there. Take the desalinization. It'd be very interesting to they may have a colony down. Well, watch, something's gonna rise up from the deep someday.
The Morlocks are coming.
The Morlocks are coming. Because I think that's part of the thing they haven't explored so deep. A lot of the life down there, once they take it from the deep and they bring it up, it just basically falls apart.
Yeah, because of the pressure.
Because of the pressure down there, and they bring it up to here, it can't stay together anymore. So because it's been there, so
it's built to handle that pressure.
And so the only way that you would be able to do is to research it. You would have to do it down there.
Or you'd have to have some kind of tank. As you capture it, that would be keeping the pressure on there.
Yeah, to be able to bring it up, you would think that the space deep sea technology would correlate just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there's something. Basically, what is it? Your space vehicles are built to withstand decompressing.
Yeah.
Where your deep sea vessels have to be it would be reverse technology to handle compressing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of have to reverse your thinking almost, it would seem, as how in building it. Which I believe is why spheres or bubbles seem to be the more popular, because once they start to compress,
it's become the perfect form in a way.
Yeah.
Because
it distributes the weight so evenly and when it comes together.
Yeah.
Instead of having like your weak point with an
edge or a corner.
Yeah, a edge where all your strength would be on your corner, and you have a square like this. Your weakest point would be right in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, spheres are nice, but of course, getting a motor out of a sphere is tough to do.
Yeah. So very interesting. Like I said, you brought this theory up to me, and so I was interested in it. So you start looking at all the different aspects. It's very hard to think that there isn't something out there. It almost seems ludicrous not. I mean, I thought that at a very young age. It was like, everything is so vast. There has to be something else out there, even if it is a microorganism.
And luckily, our society is coming around to this idea. Because, 20, 30 years ago, the society standard was there was no life.
Right.
You wouldn't talk about that, or you wouldn't write a paper on it in college about, But now everything's changing a bit. Now that we have new technologies that can scan space and.
They're looking for the God particles, which is kind of funny that they're calling it the God particle, which was that to appease the religious community, or?
I'm almost kind of like showing them that they would say, well, God is not the God you're thinking of, not like a being in a way, but like it was started this way, so therefore you call it God. So I would figure they did that to show, I guess, the religious groups that science started the universe and whatnot. So, yeah, that was my take on it. But I'm sure they were trying to, that way they wouldn't get too much heat from saying, you can't do that. Because I know the Pope doesn't like what they're doing. Because we shouldn't be seeking out God and whatnot.
Oh, the new Pope here.
I think it was the old Pope.
No, it was the old one. The new one here now, I believe he's a little more
he's very
forward-thinking, or...
He's much more liberal.
Liberal, there you go. That's the term I'm looking for. And a lot of the community sometimes doesn't like his way of thinking a little bit.
They're kind of contradicting what he's saying.
Yeah, it's there, but he seems very open to a lot of these ideas, which is interesting, which I think is what the entire world needs to do. Not to say one way is right or one way is wrong. I believe this is just, there can be a balance there. As far as, instead of getting into the fanatic stage, of a lot of this stuff, or where you, example, I hate to bring it up and use this example, but it's the one most relative that people will associate with, is your Islamic terrorists. They are, Allah told me to do this, so this is what God didn't tell you to go kill people.
Well, he didn't say kill people. He said kill the people that don't believe in me.
Well, yeah, there. But even, if you read, it doesn't matter what teachings you read, the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, any of these, they all basically portray God in the same effect. Kind, forgiving, this and that. So
I think the leaders that are just taking advantage of the situation.
It's a cult.
You could say the same thing about, let's say, the Christianity with the Crusades, hundreds of years ago. They say kill because in the name of God and Jesus and whatnot.
That's funny because you go throughout history and they say God has been the behind a lot of this. Hey, they told me to do this. This is why a lot of these things all started.
Yeah.
It was, look at it. It's all, a lot of it is religion based, religious fueled. I mean, they look at, we went back to retaliate against, the 9/11 attacks. Well, why were they started?
Yeah.
The towers were bombed because of a religious background.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, the U.S. is evil, whatever, whatnot, but we're getting way off topic.
Yeah. It'll happen on the SciCast.
But yeah, I think there's a balance there between your fanatics and things that, there needs to be, and I believe there can be a good balance for all of that. And looking for answers, but kind of keeping your roots, so to speak. And I think it would be a good thing. And I think this new pope would probably be very good if people will give him a little bit of a chance to kind of explore that. He kind of reminds me of the movie Angels and Demons.
Right.
Or the movie book by Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Where they explored that. They were looking for the God particle and this and that, and it was the person in the church.
We should probably talk about the God particle, because we mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah, okay, I suppose,
what it is. At the CERN Super Collider, which is I can't remember what CERN stands for though, but it's over in Switzerland, I believe. I'll say Europe. That's probably easier. It's this big long tube that's, I think, some 20-some miles long.
It's like 20 to 26 or something. Like that,
What they're doing is they're shooting two particles, I guess. Anyway, in opposite directions, really fast. They're trying to get as close to the speed of light as possible, and ramming them together to watch the explosion of particles, what all the particles turn into, all the smaller ones like gluons and all the plasma and stuff like that. You see what all the building blocks of these particles are, because they can see. Well, unfortunately, it dissipates real quickly, so they have to use high-speed cameras and whatnot, and electromagnetic detectors and whatnot, and they're trying to find the God particle, which is the what was that? What was it called? I'm blanking on it right now.
You're the most basic of building blocks, kind of.
Because
where the energy comes from, basically, if I'm not mistaken. I'm kind of grasping for the correct definition here right now. Trying to get a good correlation for you.
Because they've taken all the stuff that they see, and they put together, but they sense like what weight or whatnot. There's something missing, so they hypothesize that this missing piece that they haven't been able to see yet is the God particle, or what was part of what helped create the universe.
Part of the creation, because at this point, because why they're colliding this is basically because we can only see so tiny at this point that we're at the point that, like you said, you can you're at atoms, molecules that you can see,
subatomic particles.
So where you're seeing your protons, your neutrons, your electrons. What makes those up? It's like it's what makes those up, and that's when you get into like your gluons, quarks, and things, and then so the spin-off on that is coming is where they're one of the things they explored was by colliding these particles. They ended up finding antimatter.
Oh, that's the other cool part too.
Which extremely volatile, high levels of energy.
It cancels itself out real quickly.
So that's getting closer to discovering this God particle that they're looking for. It's a very difficult to they're looking for the tiniest of things, and I mean, take a pinhead and divide it by in a billion times, and that's what they're trying to find. Is to as far as a good point of reference, I mean, they're just trying to find this. So they're trying to basically blow up the smallest particles they can find to see what's making up these very small particles and seeing if this explosion can do this. It relatively harmless.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's only one particle at a time and whatnot. Not like a nuclear explosion where you're exploding multiple atoms.
Well, yeah, there and you're creating a catalyst to work off of there, whereas they have this tiny thing and then it's done. There's nothing else for it to work off of because of the environment.
Although I remember the critics before they made it though was that this was going to be a doomsday device. You make little black holes or whatnot. Destroy the planet.
I think there were several movies made on that too. I believe I watched one a while ago. Good B movie.
Was it called Black Hole? I think I remember.
Yeah, I believe that's actually what it was. Black Hole or something like that. Well, it wasn't a bad B movie.
It was a fun science movie.
But it was basically kind of along the same lines or whatever. I think they were colliding particles, and all of a sudden this black hole was made. And
ate up one of the popular cities, like probably Los Angeles or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It's always Los Angeles or New York getting destroyed.
I have it over there somewhere, but yeah, why there? Why not
Minneapolis
or
Eden Prairie,
Eden Prairie, or Stillwater. Do it on a river,
So panspermia, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Very interesting theory. I think it holds a lot of credit, or it can. And then I believe, going back, that's what this Mars mission is trying to actually figure out, if this does hold any credibility. And it might not, as far as actually seeding life elsewhere. How to prove that? How do you prove that, really?
It's like, how do you not prove it?
Yeah, the only thing they could say, they do find life on, or evidence of this bacteria, other things on Mars. They get back there, they start dissecting and correlating. The only thing they may be able to find is a relative lightness between something here on Earth and something there. Which
that's probably what they hope to find, is some kind of, as they look at the DNA sequence, they say, well, there's a common ancestor at some point.
Right. And even if they do find something, they says, well, it's likely that it could happen. There's still really no way to prove it.
Yeah.
But it's very likely. That's why they're looking at the close there. I believe not only Mars, I think there. Venus is another popular choice because it's obviously the two closest planets to Earth. Venus, definitely a lot closer to the sun, so the heat thing there, I believe...
although it gets more radiation, so there's more chance of
a mutated process. Yeah. I believe in the atmosphere, going back a few years, but atmosphere on Venus is quite toxic.
Oh yeah, it's
part of that is because of the radiation and the heat and everything kind of breaking down or whatever, the gases.
Although it is very similar to Earth, size-wise, and
size-wise,
has an atmosphere that,
I think it's a higher concentration of nitrogen.
Yeah, let's say nitrogen.
Nitrogen, I believe, is the other one. The other place that they are looking at is one of Jupiter's moons. Europa?
Is it Europa or I don't know, because I always forget the name.
Not that I know them all, but I happen to know that just because that's the one that is talked about. Well, I know the other moon is Titan. Titan is one, but I don't think they're. I believe it's Europa is one that is looking that they would have the possibility of, the right makeup to possibly support life as well.
Which is funny because the Jupiter's moon, Europa, is pretty sizable.
Yeah, much larger than Earth, I believe, right?
It's very similar to Earth, yeah. And it's a moon. Mm-hmm. Which would almost indicate, could you consider that a planetary object at that site? Because they already, declassified Pluto because it was too small.
Which irritates me all in itself.
Yeah. But they're also...
Because it holds orbit, so...
Yeah. But that also brings up the idea that they've also known that they're in the asteroid belt. There are giant asteroids as big as Mars and Earth. Mm-hmm. So.
Whereas, in your asteroid belt, that's... I kind of completely forgotten about that. That, there could be, there may be microorganisms, bacteria or whatever, surviving in an asteroid there, something hits there, collides with that, and then that pushed it onto a path. Or it could have been caught in the asteroid belt and is staying there for how long before it, got moved on to elsewhere.
Yeah, that's the other. How long? Who knows how long a microbe could survive in deep space? But that's kind of void. I don't know.
If it, like I said, it enters that dormant stage and able to, that's just another question. How long can it survive?
Yeah. Can it survive 1 million years, 1 billion years?
2.
Just keep going.
Yeah, it doesn't. So it's very interesting. So I really kind of wished in our life that we could see a little bit more of this, the deep sea exploration, as I think you could probably find some answers there.
Although there is a privately funded guy doing a lot of that right now, James Cameron. He loves that deep sea stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He uses his Titanic and Avatar money to build submarines.
And it'd be nice to see more of this deep space exploration. Unfortunately, we probably won't see it in our time. But who knows? Maybe my kid will be a colonist someday. Who knows?
And they'll say because she got her start on the SciCast.
Right, because I got her start here. So
we should probably bring up, it's just around panspermia, the big one with this whole theory with the aliens idea. Being seeded by aliens and not by an asteroid, something. So we probably go into that.
That's true. Because a different spin on the theory, because it is seeding, so to speak.
A literal seeding.
Exactly.
Start maybe an experiment to see if they could get something to grow here, if they wanted to perhaps move here, or just if they were seeding a bunch of plants.
Who knows if they tried and observed for a while, and then maybe we were a failed experiment. And they're like, okay, now we've taken over, and we're kind of like the redheaded stepchild.
But on that note, let's say if they did seed it, let's say with bacteria, that would mean they would have been there, how many millions of years ago. And they'd have to, if they were still around, that means they were probably 1 million years more advanced, or if they died out or whatnot. Or if they came here and noticed that it was already seeded and they helped it along. I don't know.
Give it a little nudge, so to speak.
In a way, like, I know I always bring up Prometheus, but it's just because
why?
I don't know, I might like the movie. So the idea that aliens came here and made us like their little lab, if you don't want to think about it that way, it's kind of like
we're lab rats.
Our lab rats, nobody likes to be thought of as a lab rat, but.
Well, that is a possibility. I mean, what warrants that a little bit more, it was, you look back to, the dinosaurs. Nobody really still knows why they died out.
We're still, just throwing theories out there.
It's all theories. And what if, the dinosaurs, somebody came, alien came out here, threw something out there, the dinosaurs developed, and all of a sudden they were like, this isn't really helping us at all. And did they just say, okay, we're done with it, then wiped them out? Because it kind of goes, you look back through there and it doesn't seem like there's a natural progression that, the dinosaurs just kind of slowly died and then something else took over. It wasn't that they just kind of came off and this other species, just kind of took over. It was like, boom, it was an extinction level event, or ELE, that, came about and took off of them, and then it was like, okay, there was just like maybe some vegetative plant life, and then all of a sudden you started seeing things develop and mutate. And
small mammals,
and stuff start crawling out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Which nobody really has a good answer for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, You know, what do they say? Dinosaurs were a failed experiment.
Wouldn't that be something?
Huh.
Of course, that would, you know, you think about us. Are we a failed experiment? Because we're kind of destroying the planet in a way.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at ways of trying to decrease the amount of damage we're doing, our carbon footprint, if you will. You know, is that it? Are we worthy of doing it? You know, maybe that's why they're looking at, is there hope for us or not? You know, was there...
Yeah. Will the aliens allow us to move off planet and continue the trend?
Mm-hmm. Right, you know, has that happened? Are we a new thing, you know, or is this, you know, well, you say that, you know, the aliens would have to be an advanced intelligent species.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
That, you know, millions of years evolved from where we are now. Millions, billions of years.
Which is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Being,
right.
What would they look like, or
Mm-hmm.
what kind of... Well, speaking of technology, if you see what kind of technology we have in the past 50 years, how
Mm-hmm.
much that's progressed.
Right.
Could
What
you
do they
have
have?
in 1,000 years?
Mm-hmm. You know, what's that to say that, you know, this solar system, you know, considering how grand the universes are, that this was, to explain it in terms, this solar system was given to a company purchased it.
Oh, that's a good spin on it.
And, you know, as far as this is a company's, you know, this, a company or whatever, lab, corporation, person, scientist of an alien race.
And the company's name was called Panspermia?
Yeah, there you go. It was there, and they bought the rights to the solar system
Mm-hmm.
to see what would happen. You know, to experiment with. You know, say that, yeah, they did the dinosaurs. That didn't work. Let's try and infuse something else into here and see what happens. And so now we're looking onto that cycle now. You know, looking onto that cycle now.
You know what I was thinking the other day? This was I'm sure somebody's brought this up, but with the whole dinosaurs being popular, you know,
Mm-hmm.
taking over the world and whatnot, they just die out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were around for millions of years too.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the idea that if there was a dinosaur that became, you know, like you'd say like the Velociraptor, really smart,
Mm-hmm.
like took over the planet and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
That was an idea I was thinking about the other day. What if there was a dinosaur like people
Mm-hmm.
that took over the earth, was at the top of the food chain and whatnot, and maybe have their own technology? It's far-fetched because, you know...
Far-fetched, yeah, a little bit. It's an interesting theory, but I think that goes along with nature kind of taking its course on certain things. All of a sudden, if they became there and they overpopulated so much and took over the planet, all of a sudden you would have something that would try and knock them back down. You know, that's kind of nature's way of doing things.
Yeah, some kind of viral outbreak.
Virus outbreak. I mean, you look back through the years, and it was humanity has been fighting these things to control its own population, with nature taking its course for how many years? You go back to the black plague, polio, cancer, AIDS, SARS.
The planet keeps trying to
it tries to keep balancing it out, and we seem to just keep finding ways to fight back and keep populating.
Nature fighting back against nature.
I mean, we have that, whereas, you know, you bring up like a velociraptor, so to speak, or an intelligent...
Yeah, an intelligent animal. Most people know about.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes,
Apes or whatever.
Great movie.
You know, would they be able to fight back enough, or have the, you know, the technology or to do it? I have a harder time, just because you look at the way their brain functions. A velociraptor, you know, what is their function? They eat, kill, eat, breed, eat, kill, you know. Yeah. Whereas, you know, we tend to think about other things like art and...
There's the idea that, well, the I've read some stuff about when did we start. When did technology really start exploding? It was when agriculture was kind of invented, and you could, because like the rest of the world, a lot of animals spend a lot of their time finding food.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you could offload finding food,
mm-hmm.
You would have a lot more free time to just do something else.
To do other true.
And therefore, you can, technology keeps reaching on, and
mm-hmm.
so once you have a stable food supply, life becomes easier, and you can occupy yourself with other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, sure. Yeah, you were able to think about other things and
instead
advance
of having
on other stuff.
Saying, are we going to be able to eat today, or instead you're thinking about how am I not going to be bored today?
Oh, right. What are we gonna do? Instead of we just have to wait. I can eat whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that. So, we could be we may be a failed experiment. Wouldn't that be wild?
Or a successful experiment.
Yeah.
Because usually always people are talking about
mm-hmm.
how humanity is
mm-hmm.
failing itself, so therefore we must be a failure. But what if, just being here is
mm-hmm.
pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. What if we are successful seeding and they're like, okay, they're progressing there, but it's
like it'll be like Mass Effect, where one day as we progress out of the Earth and
mm-hmm.
expand, they'll invite us into their domain.
Right. That okay, you've gone this far, and we're ready to expose ourselves to you at this point. And, maybe they're just waiting for that day. Maybe that it could happen. And if that does happen, I think then the technology, if they would be willing to share technology,
there would probably be a big jump if they were to.
If they were willing to share at that point, then there would be a massive jump, I think, and
mm-hmm.
you would see a lot of things getting a lot better, or worse.
Yeah.
Depending,
it'd probably be worse at the beginning,
hands.
And then you'd have
right.
to.
Because I think where, and that gets into a whole other thing. It would be you'd have to get into the whole thing of the government being able to trust the public with its knowledge. Granted, it would have to be regulated. Some things would have to be regulated. You don't
mm-hmm.
want, certain people having this technology in their hands. Obviously, that could go very, very wrong, like
mm-hmm.
your radical extremists. But being able to say, hey, we have this, we're working on this, we've talked, instead of worrying about, massive panic, you have to be able to trust the people. And I honestly don't think the public is ready for that yet. There's too many people that could handle it.
They're starting small, I'm sure.
Right.
Small, and they
mm-hmm.
eventually, it'll work its way up to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of way of life. You gotta start, slow.
Mm-hmm. Gotta crawl before you can walk.
And you know all about that.
I'm working on right now with Vanessa. So yeah. So panspermia.
Yeah. Quite a fascinating topic.
Yeah. And it can go in so many different directions as far as how things were seeded, or
mm-hmm.
how it can be, and how things started.
Yeah.
And we probably will never know.
Yeah. As with many of our podcasts, it's kind of
mm-hmm.
mostly speculation. But that's what we do here on the SciCast.
Mm-hmm. Try and explore all the opportunities, give you as much information as possible that is there.
The fringes of
the fringes, yeah, the fringes of science, which I suppose we may expound upon at some point. So,
yeah,
I think all of our viewers know us. So,
yeah,
and still we there. So, if you, as always, invite ideas for us to discuss and talk about, we will do our research as much as we can, and hopefully now that we've taken this time off, our podcast won't be quite so infrequent anymore.
Yeah.
We can our schedules are be able to gel a little bit more now.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other suggestions? Please let us know.
You have anything you were?
Just a couple of things I thought of. Exploring the fringe sciences, I thought would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I brought it in reference to the show Fringe.
Fringe, yeah, that's what brought it up there. The show Fringe, great show. I thought so. That was just kind of thing. They explore the fringe sciences there. Be a good topic. What was the other one we were thinking of?
Well, I know Judy went. There was the comet that came crashing down in Russia. Was it last year?
6 months ago.
We were trying to get that one done. That was kind of put on the back burner.
Because we all of a sudden came up with something we found more interesting. Or whatever. Life happens. That I had. So yeah, we always welcome new ideas for topics. We will continue looking for more. And until next time.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm Dr. J.
Oh, yeah. And again, I am Ben, by the way, if you didn't know that already.
Yeah.
To our, maybe, hopefully, 2 new viewers.
Yes.
Just 2 at a time. Eventually, we'll get there someday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you can say you were there at the beginning. All right. Signing off.
Yeah. See you later.